Ride along each week as we share proven strategies to strengthen your business, energize your team, and create the business success you've been dreaming about. And now, here's your host, Rich Allen.
Does your team culture nurture individual winners or team winners? Welcome to the Ultimate Business Tune-Up Podcast, where our one and only goal is to help you tune up your business so you can have the long-lasting success and fulfillment that comes from owning a solid, profitable, and sustainable business. Each week we dive deep into a single topic related to improving your business, improving your team engagement, or improving your relationship with your customers. This week I want to geek out on the Olympics for just a bit. I hope that's okay with you. If you've got a pulse, you're probably aware that the 2024 Paris Olympics are finishing up this week after some 16 days of some of the most exciting sports competition you could ask for. And just to be clear, I'm not going to focus on the controversy of the opening ceremony, nor am I going to spend any more time highlighting the efforts of some of the world-class athletes who get all the media attention. Instead, I'd like to take you back to what might be a little-remembered bronze medal performance by the U.S. men's gymnastics team. The U.S. men's gymnastics team was made up of 5 guys you probably have never heard of, or wouldn't remember their names if someone asked you. For the record, these are the 5 guys who made up the team: Brody Malone, Fred Richard, Asher Hong, Paul Judah, and Stephen Nedorosik. My bet is, unless you're a gymnastics geek, you probably haven't heard these names before. But these 5 relatively unknown guys just secured an Olympic medal for the U.S. in a highly competitive men's sport for the first time in 16 years, which makes me all the more excited to be focusing today's episode on their accomplishments. I think there are some lessons learned in their bronze medal win that as business owners, we should not overlook. You see, I don't get all that excited when someone who's expected to win wins. Oftentimes, they're so much better than their competition that it's not interesting or noteworthy. In fact, if the superior athlete does not win, there's a bigger story to share. And sadly, the athletes who are far superior to their competitors oftentimes come across as prima donnas who don't have much time or enthusiasm for anyone other than themselves. Don't believe me? Just watch the U.S. women's gymnastics team competition and watch how supported the team members are to one another. I'm not going to bash anyone, but I'll let you decide for yourself. Today I want to highlight 5 specific lessons I learned or was reminded of as I watched the U.S. men's compete in the team competition. I firmly believe that every business owner who has a team would want their team to emulate these 5 team-building behaviors. If you have a team that works for your business, you may want to take a few notes. Here's lesson number 1. They know they need everyone's best performance to win. Far too often, whether in sports or in business, teams tend to rely heavily on a superstar or a top performer to hit the home run. But much like the movie Moneyball with Brad Pitt, the unconventional wisdom is that a team of solid hitters will outperform a team with a couple of home run hitters. And as a bonus extra, there's far less drama and needless emotional baggage. The U.S. men's team knew that they didn't have a chance unless each of them delivered their very best performances. So they came to the competition determined to win as a team. You could see it by how they came together in a huddle to remind each other of their goal and what it would take to get on the podium. Does your team have a "we win as a team" mindset, or are you relying on a superstar to achieve your business results? What would have to change for this to happen in your business? Here's lesson number 2. When they're not performing, they're focused on actively supporting their team members who are. What I see way too often is that when someone's not actively engaged in a process or activity, they could care less about how it's going for their coworkers. They tend to be more worried about their workload, their issues, their situation, than they are about supporting or encouraging others. But if you watch the U.S. men's team in action, you can't help but see that when their teammate was up, the others were actively in support and encourage mode. Just turn up the sound on your TV, and all you can hear are teammates shouting encouragement, being the biggest cheerleaders, and being hyper-focused on doing what they can to let their performing teammate know they're there for them. Again, for contrast, do the same with the U.S. women's team, and you'll see a very different set of behaviors. Do your team members support and encourage each other without regard for their personal standing or position on the team? What would have to change in your business for this to happen? Here's lesson number 3. Team members are genuinely enthusiastic when other team members perform well. How cool would it be if when someone on your team delivered big time, their team member would lift them up and celebrate them like they just won the lottery? That's exactly what the U.S. men's team did each and every time someone nailed their routine. And it didn't just happen for one or two of the team members, but for each and every one of them. There was no favorite. There was no leader. There was only the behavior that everyone was deserving of being celebrated for their individual performance because they knew it took everyone for them to win. I especially love the celebration that followed the last routine of the competition by Steven Nedorosik. If you didn't know better, you would have thought that he had just won the gold medal for individual overall, but in fact, he simply nailed the one routine that he was on the team to deliver on the pommel horse. The amazing part was that this level of enthusiasm was shown for everyone, on every routine, in every rotation. Extraordinary. Is this how your team members react to each other when they perform well? Or do some of them dismiss their efforts while focusing on themselves? What would have to change for this to happen in your business? Here's lesson number 4. Team members lift each other up when they fall short or drop the ball. This lesson is on the other end of lesson number 3. I'm not sure why this is the case, but in many cases, when a team member drops the ball or stumbles on a project, other team members distance themselves and do whatever they can to not be associated with the failure. But that's not how the U.S. men's team behaved. When someone had a bad routine, their entire team surrounded them and spoke words of encouragement, support, and confidence into them. In fact, they wouldn't allow the person who messed up to be alone in the pain and embarrassment. They all rallied around them. They knew that a bad routine was not the end of the world, and that it could have easily been any of them that messed up, which bonded them as a team perhaps even more than the highlight moments. They knew at the time their teammate needed them the most when they were down, and they did it as a collective. There wasn't a designated caregiver. It was everyone's responsibility. How does your team behave when someone goes through a rough spot or drops the ball? Do they look at them with disgust or walk away to distance themselves from the failure? What if they did just the opposite? How cool would that be day in and day out? What would have to change for this to happen in your business? And finally, here's lesson number 5. Team members respect their other team members' get-ready rituals. I was genuinely impressed by this behavior as I watched the men's team in action. Everyone has their own way to get ready to perform. Some like to visualize their routine. Others need to be active and simulate their big moves, while some just want to sit and meditate. I found it interesting that when a teammate was in prep mode, the other team members respected their ritual without question. They knew it was important and was the key to their performing a great routine, so they gave them the space and time to get ready. This was evident by watching Steven sit in silence with his eyes closed for what seemed like forever in advance of his routine. His team knew to honor his ritual and didn't bother or interrupt him, and the result was an outstanding performance. Is this how your team behaves? Do they respect and honor each other's rituals and preparations to perform? Whether it's getting fired up to meet a customer or to make an important phone call, perhaps we should allow them to establish a ritual, then support them as they prepare to knock it out of the park. What would have to change for this to happen in your business? So there you have it. 5 lessons from a team of guys who took home a medal when guys way more talented than them couldn't for many years. I'm not sure about you, but these are the kinds of inspiring performances I love in sports competition. Whether it's in cycling or track and field or tennis or gymnastics or some other sport, we can learn a lot by watching those who aren't any more gifted than someone else compete. If you saw something that caught your attention while watching the Olympics, I'd love to hear about it. I'm always looking for great examples I can share with you and others to get you thinking differently about your business. Our goal is to help you be different from your competition in a way that sets you up to win. If you need any help or would like to bounce around some ideas from these lessons learned, don't hesitate to reach out and ask. Now, before we go, 2 quick asks. Share this podcast with your fellow business owners. I'm trying to get these free business tips to as many business owners as possible. I want every business owner to be successful, and this is my gift to you and to them. Thanks for passing this along. And lastly, please leave a review on this podcast. The more thumbs up this podcast gets, the more it will be found when someone's stuck or struggling and looking for advice. Your review can help make this happen. Thanks for joining me today. Be sure to tune in next week when we're going to discuss what great customer service looks like. You won't want to miss it. Meanwhile, if you have a question, suggestion, or would simply like to connect, shoot me an email at rich@tourtoprofit.com. Now go make it a great week, and whatever you do, ride hard.
Thank you for listening to the Ultimate Business Tune-Up. Make sure you subscribe so you don't miss any future episodes. In the meantime, find more resources at tourtoprofit.com and connect with Rich by sending a message to rich@tourtoprofit.com. Until next time, ride hard.